Hey y'all, so today I'm about to make a wig for a friend of mine, and I'm just going to show y'all how I start my wigs, how I make my wigs. And so first I'm going to show you what I use. So I use a regular comb head from the beauty supply store. And so I'm going to give you guys options. So usually I use my T-pins and this cap. So this is it's the mesh wig cap. I get it from the beauty supply store. I think it's like $4. Yeah, $3.99. I've been using this one, but I am going to try a new wig cap today. So this is the wig cap that I'm going to be using. It's the Real Fit Spandex Cap, and I bought this from Sally's. And the reason why I'm trying a new cap is because with the other cap, so with the mesh dome cap, it's not as elastic. Which I can show you. So, like, it has some stretch, but once you sew, of course, the elasticity kind of, you know, goes away. So when I use this caps, I absolutely have to have head measurements, at least 3 for a closure unit. With the spandex cap, of course, it's more elastic, so it's bigger, but it stretches a whole lot more. And so I want to use this cap because I want to see if I can just make a universal size wig with this cap, so I don't have to take measurements, meaning I can put this on my head and it'll stretch to my head size, and then you can put it on your head. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to put it on, let's see which way I want to put it. So this just has one line down the middle. I'm going to put it so the line is horizontal. And I'm going to pull it down to like the nose. So this is a smaller wig head. This is bigger, and then you can see I put duct tape on this to increase the circumference size because I have a big head. Making this on this small one, I'm hoping that it will still stretch enough so I can put it on my big head. So I have a wig stand that screws onto the tabletop. I'm waiting for my tripod to come in. I make my wigs in my lap because it's easier. So hopefully I give you guys the angle that you need to see. So yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this. I do not have any explanation for why I'm folding. I'm folding over. I do have explanation. I watch Malibu Doll Faces tutorial on how he makes his wigs, and this is the method that he's used in the wig cap. So I'm going to mimic what he did, and so hopefully it comes out right. So this is the wig stand. It's tabletop. Y'all can see it's tabletop. I can use T-pins, but I'm not using T-pins because you see how, I'm not sure if you can see, it has that little ridge over here. Sometimes my lace gets stuck in there, and on one occasion it got real stuck and it ripped some of my lace. Luckily it was before I cut the lace on my frontal, so it's a part that's gonna cut off anyway. But to prevent that from happening again, I won't be using T-pins for putting down the closure or the hair. So I'm just gonna put one in the back to kind of keep the wig head in place for now. So I'll put a T-pin in the back. But I'm gonna be using these pins. They're ballpoint pins. You can get them in the sewing section. I got mine from Walmart for like $4. I think there's like 100 or 150 of them. Of course I got pink because it's my favorite color. So then I want to take my closure, and so this is, I don't know what kind of hair this is. I just had to measure length. This is my friend here. She had a sew-in closure unit, and I'm just taking her hair and putting it on a wig. And so the first thing I do is I line the lace up to the end of the cap, and so I'm going to secure it. So I put it like a very, very little bit past the actual front of the cap. It's like my lace overlaps just a tiny bit. So I'm just going to place a pin, one pin right there. And then I kind of stretch the closure a little bit, so I'm going to pin this side down. So you're going to go over, you know, across the front of the cap, and then you're going to pin it down again. I'm going to put this hair up eventually, but for now, it's easier for me not to. I know y'all can't see, but I'm just doing it down the other side, pulling the closure as far over as I can, because you want it super flat, right? And so, just going to put a pin in there so you get this. This in the front. This closure has the lace already cut, so it's a little bit more difficult to show you, but yeah, so I pulled it all the way over as far as I could, make it as tight as possible, as flat as possible. And take the back of the closure and pull it all the way to the back. And take a pin and stick it in the back. Alright, so this is getting my nerves. I'm gonna pull this up. Here. I'm just gonna clip this off real quick. So it should look like this when you pin it down. This is the front. This is the side. So I'll put it all the way over, and this is the back. So the back I just pinned one. So the back is more flexible when it comes to, you know, flatten it out. So, but you just want to make sure that the front is as flat as possible before you start sewing your wig down. I already have 2 needles threaded back here. I have 3 needles in total, and I usually thread them all at once before I start. When you do your closure, you probably want at least 3 needles to thread. It'll make the process easier. So I have my thread here and my curved needle. I have a large one, and you're gonna take the end of your thread and you're gonna put it through the hole on the back of the needle. So you're gonna pull it through so you have 2 pieces, because you want your thread to be sturdy. This is probably more than I need to put the closure on, but I'm gonna leave it on. So then you're gonna cut the end, and then you want to knot your 2 ends together. So these is still 2 strings. So what I do is I just kind of wrap around my finger and take the pointy end of the needle to make my knot. However you want to make your knot is fine. So I have it wrapped around, and I kind of just put it in between here. Sometimes it gets a little knotted already. I'm going to try to make this as clean as possible. There are other ways to start the knot, but this is what works for me. Two. 3, and I take my finger out and I pull the end of the string super tight, and so I have this knot right here, y'all can see, and then I cut off the end. You don't have to do this, you can wait till you finish, but just cut off the end. Okay, and so when I start on the side. So basically what I do is I start at the front, about where the pin is, and I start at the very beginning where the lace meets the cap. So you go to the cap, again through your closure, you pull it through. And you tighten it. So also this is a little bit easier when the lace hasn't been cut on it already. So I am going to take one of my T-pins, and now that I have the first thread through, I'm going to pull the closure as far back as I can and stretch it to flatten it out. And then I'm going to stick a T-pin, or you can use a sewing pin, stick it in there to keep it as flat as possible again. So you should have something look like this. See how straight it is? It's kind of straight, flat. Yeah. And so I'm going to go through again. So you want to make sure that the front is tight. So I kind of like hold this part in my hand, and take my other hand with the needle and go through the cap again, under. Push through. Now, okay, what I usually do is I usually like take this part of the string, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it for the purposes of this video. This is how I usually sew, and I actually put the needle in between these two strings. So if you can see, I'm not sure if you can see. So I have the string, not the part not closer to the end, but closer to where you made your other stitch. I don't actually open this up. I'm just showing you so you can see what I'm talking about. So again, it's two strings, right? So I put the needle between the two strings, and then I pull it through. And so because I folded the, what do you call it? I folded the cap. I'm getting a little, it's a little tougher to go through it, but it will not be like that once you go through. So that's what I usually do. But I am going to try a new sew technique. And so again, I am going to go under the cap, well, go through the cap, under the lace, stick it through, stick it through, and then I'm going to take, instead of like putting it through, I am going to just, let's see, so this is the needle. I'm going to take this end, the end that I used to go through last time, and just put it behind the needle and push through. Or pull through. You're going to pull your needle through. So it's a different pattern, but it also gets it as tight. I actually tried this. I had redid a stitch in my other wig, and so it should, you still get a cross stitch, and it's just as tight. And so a thing to her is like, when you're doing your wigs, you want to keep your string as tight as possible because you don't want gaps. And so, okay, so this is my first, I'm ending here, or this is my second one, and remember I started right here. So this is about how far I make my stitches. And so you want to keep doing that all the way around. I do not use one needle to do my whole closure. That's why I have 3 needles, so I can do one side, and then the back. So now I'm at the end. This is my last stitch. So I'm gonna go through a couple times close together. So at the end, for the end, because I'm confident about the security of this method, I am actually going to take the needle and put it through the string, which is the original method I used, and pull the string through. I know this is a little difficult to see, y'all. I don't have a tripod yet, so I'm pulling it through super tight. And then I'm not gonna do as far as the distance like before because I'm at the end. And so I'm gonna do another stitch really close and stitch it through. Now, keep this really tight. Stitch it through again under the lace. And so to end it, I take this string, again, not towards the base of the needle, but towards the last stitch that you did. So when my needle's about halfway through, I take this and I wrap it. So that was about 4 times. I do it up to 5, and I pull the needle through and pull through. And so you made a knot, right? So you're going to pull as tight as possible. Now this side of my closure is secure, right? So then you want to take your scissors and just snip the ends close to the knot. Don't cut through the knot or it will come unraveled. And so I'm done with this side. And so what I did next is I do the other side. Do this side, and then I do the back last, and that kind of helps me ensure that it's flat. So I'm going to finish the closure, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I start my tracks. Okay, so now that I have the closure done, I'm going to take this off. So this is my closure. It's flat all the way around. It's secure, it's not moving. And so now I'm going to start with the tracks. I'm going to take my first track. Now this hair is not washed, and that's why it looks the way it does. Because it's pre-used hair, and because yeah, I just had the hair and I just wanted to go ahead and make the wig. When I get my hair, like if I order hair, I do wash it when I first get it, only because I'm already bleaching the closure, bleaching the knots on the closure. So while I'm washing that, I go ahead and wash the bundles. But I also, after I make the wig, I wash it again. So it really doesn't matter if you're going to wash your bundles first or not first after you make it wig. And so you want to start at the bottom. And so remember, this piece is still folded over. So for the bottom, you're basically going straight across. So take your T-pins or your ball pins. Because I'm not on the lace part, I'm going to use my T-pins. The T-pins are really secure. And so putting this at the very bottom, at the very edge. You can, like if you have 4 bundles, if you're making a wig of 4 bundles. So what I usually double my tracks in the back, but because I don't really know how much hair I'm working with, I'm not doubling them, which means I'm just going to have to make them closer, which is fine. But if you don't, like, I like my hair thick. If you don't want it thick, then, you know, A single track is fine. So I'm gonna bring it all the way down. I'm kind of following the line that's under the folded portion. And I'm gonna show you what I mean. So like there's a line right here. Right here. You can't see this line. I'm kind of following that line in the back for my track placement. It's really up to you how you want to place your tracks. That's why I place my track. But the purpose of this video is just to show you how I sew my tracks. So whatever works for you. So again, I have 3 threaded needles. I keep them all 3. Like when I finish the 3, I thread all 3 at once. And so for the back, I guess it really doesn't matter if you go over or under. But I'm going to take my needle and I'm starting on this end. So I have my T-pin in place. And I'm going to go over. Actually, I'm going to go under. I usually go over and then I usually am sewing backwards, like upside down. Yeah, I'm going to have to go over. I'll just get used to it. So then you're going to stick your needle through the cap first. And then through the weft. So like that. Hold the track down because sometimes it gets a little flimsy. So like this time I didn't cut the end first. Like I usually thread it and make the knot at the bottom. And I cut the end off first, but honestly it doesn't matter. So then I do that again. Kind of close to the first stitch. Going through the weft. And so this time, to make it more secure, I'm going to bring the needle through the 2 pieces. And push it through. And so this is the sewing method that I usually use. And it kind of creates a little knot. So like when I'm putting the hair through the weft, I prefer it to be as tight as possible. And so then I'm going to remove my T-pin. And I usually kind of just move it along the track. Like I'll just place it here just to keep me in alignment. So I place my T-pin. And I'm just going to keep doing this. So I'm going to go under I'm going to go inside of the cap. And then I'm going to go under the track instead of going through this time. So, this is super difficult on camera. Let me get another pen. I'm just going to pin my sides down. Alright. And so you're going to continue with whichever sewing method. So again, through the cap, underneath the weft. And I'm actually going to go ahead and do all of this my original method. So taking the needle and putting it through the 2 pieces of thread. This is extremely difficult to do on camera and on a mannequin head. Like I said, I'm usually not doing this on a mannequin head. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this row off camera and then I'll come back. Okay, so now that I'm at the end of the weft, I am actually going to do the flip over method for this track. So again, once you get to the end, just like normal, you're going to go through the cap. under the weft. This is not my last stitch, so that's why I'm going under the weft. Under the weft. And then for my last stitch, I'm going to go through the cap, through the weft, and I'm going to wrap it like I'm going to end it. Well, I am ending it, but like how I ended with the closure. So wrap at least 3 times for security, and then pull super tight. And then I'm going to take out the T-pin. Then you're going to take your hair and flip it, literally flip it over. Make sure your thread is on top, but you're basically going to flip it over. I'm going to pin it right at the end where where it meets the first track. And then like for the back, you kind of want like a finger width apart. So I don't typically do this, but this was a suggestion that was suggested on another video. Like kind of put your finger here. I kind of have big fingers though, so. And they look trash because I just took my nails off. And like place a pin there. But you have a placement, so like place the track above that pin, and then pin it again to keep it in place, and then so on this other side I'm just cutting out this excess string that was below my knot. You're gonna get as close to your knot as possible and make a clean cut, making sure not to cut the knot. So let's cut. And then again, you're just going straight across for your bottom tracks. So I'm going to show you how to secure the flip to make it as flat as possible. I actually prefer to cut the tracks because it makes it flatter, but this is not my hair. But what you want to do at this very end where you flip the track over, you want to make it as flat as possible. So you're going to go through the cap. Now it depends if you're going to go under or over. I'm going under because this is what I'm used to doing. So I'm going through the cap, through the weft. So it's going to be a little bit, take a little bit of power behind that. Because you're going through cap and then 2 wefts. So you're going to pull it really tight. Do that again. Really close to where it was. So through the cap, through the wefts, and I'm going to actually do the original method, which is putting my needle through the 2 strings or the 2 pieces of thread. And then pull it super tight. So now it's flat. So it's pretty flat. So I'm going to finish this wig up to the halfway point, because once you get to the halfway point, your spacing is going to be a little bit different. Alright, so this is what we got so far. So see, from closure to closure. So for the next step, we're not going to go so far over. We're going to start the U-ish shape. So you're going to need some pins, of course. And instead of starting all the way over by the closure, I'm going to start like where this half line is, like a little bit before that. So I'm going to place this and then I'm going to show you where I placed it. So I placed it here, and we're what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it around, but in a more like a little U, like the smiley face I was telling you about. So, and approximately the same place on the other side. So, where I'm pinning is where I'm going to stop sewing. But again, I'm still using the flip over method. So, halfway to halfway, because you don't want all your hair to be doing this because it looks weird. So you kind of want to like keep the U in the back because your closure is gonna, you know, fall the way it's supposed to. So I'm gonna finish completing it here until I get about to this line. So still, you know, 1 finger apart until you get to this line. And then you're gonna kind of start straightening out eventually, but we're gonna U until about right here. Like I'm gonna keep curving until I get right here. Alright, so once you get to this line, remember this line? Once you get to this line, you're gonna leave some space. So this is about the top of your head. And you don't want bulkiness right there. So mine's about 2 fingers. Let's see. Still curving. And you want to pin it down. This is going to get covered. Like you're not going to have like, people are not going to see this because it's going to get covered. So you're going to do about 1 finger width apart once you pass this. But once you get to the middle point, you want to keep this space to prevent bulkiness at the top of your head. And so I'm going to do this and continue to go around. But after this one, it's not going to be as curved. You're going to start straightening your smile out around your closure. So it's going to start straightening out. There is some give right here. Like the cap is not completely flat, which you don't want to make it completely tight because then it'll be hard for the elastic to stretch. Because as you sew the hair on, the elasticity kind of goes away. I'm going to finish this off camera and then come back once I start straightening out my tracks. Okay, so I'm almost done. I've gotten to the top. And so this is how it's looking so far. Just gonna take this off so like I'll put it at eye level. So this is the front. It's not centered, but this is the front. This is the back. This is nice and full. Remember that gap we put? It was about, the gap is right here. So you see that it covers it. And I did put this wig on my head to check the elasticity of the cap. And it fits my hair. So I purposely put this on my smaller wig head because my bigger wig head is more my head size. So my circumference is about 24 inches. I clearly have a big head. And I think this one maybe is about 21, 22. So I purposely put it on the smaller head to check the elasticity to make sure that I could still fit this on my head. Now granted, I have not cut the cap under the closure yet. But without that it's still holds. So this is the back. This is actually the head. So you see it's nice and flat. This is what the top looks like. So we have our curve. And now we're going to start straightening it out. Now that we're at the top. See that's curved. So instead of doing that, I'm going to go straight across. Also, this is kind of what the stitch pattern looks like. It's in there, but like it's not super tight. Because if you put it too tight, you're going to take away all the elasticity. But like this is the pattern that the stitch, and this is the new stitch method that I'm using, not what I usually do, but it should look similar to this and it should be tight where it's not coming out. And so see if I can do this with y'all looking. I am going to take the hair and instead of doing this and curving it, I'm going to do this. So I'm going to start here. bend it down. And I'm literally gonna go straight across. I'm gonna give it a slight bend, but I'm not going full circle. And then I'm gonna take another T-pin, put it in here. So it's a slight curve here, but it's mostly straight. And I'm not going from closure to closure. I'm kind of stopping here, because what's going to happen is we're going to do this. And so the last piece will kind of go here, here, like right at the tip of the closure. And your last piece should actually, you should actually sew that into the closure, so there's no space there. Alright, so I'm about a little bit over halfway through, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. So, you see, this is the closure, this is the track. You don't want any gaps between that, or this track is going to show. And so in comparison, you know, you have this over here that's not done. You know, there's still a little bit of room between here. So you want to make sure that you're sewing the back of the closure and this last track together. Okay, so here's the finished look as far as the stitching goes. It's nice and close to the closure. And so I'm going to comb this hair down. Again, it's still nice and flat. This is the actual head. This is, you know, it's flat. There's no bulkiness, which you don't want. This hair was cut into layers already, so it's nice and layered, which I think it looks bomb. Okay, so now that that is complete, I'm going to move my head aside. You're going to get some fallout from the foam head. Like, there's going to be foam everywhere. Essentially, this is what the wig looks like. Please don't judge, because I have not washed this hair, so I'm going to wash it and style it. But I'm just going to cut the excess cap from under the wig. I'm going to wash this and deep condition it for about an hour, and then I'm going to blow dry it and style it. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, ooh, shine bright like a diamond. Ain't nobody, ain't nobody. You'll always be mine, singing it to the world. I'll always be your boy, and I'll always be your girl. It ain't nobody's baby. 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 Ain't nobody's but mine and my baby. My baby. My baby. But mine and my baby. My baby. My baby. But mine and my baby. My baby. My baby. But mine and my baby.